India's construction equipment industry has registered a growth of 26% in FY
Yeah.
22-23. So where do you see the growth from here?
Yes, absolutely. I think one interesting thing with that number is that it is a consecutively second year in a row we are seeing 20% plus growth rate, which is a dream thing for any industry, and I think for infrastructure and construction equipment industry is the same. An additional fact is that if you we generally look at data fiscal year, but if you look at calendar year, what is most interesting is that election years, we typically see slowdowns. We if you go back to 2014 or 2019, the two major election years, you can see that the industry slowed down roughly 20% in each of those years. 2014, you can still say it could be a policy and government change and all that, but 2019 was a continuity of the same government. Still, we saw a 19% dip in the in the market, but this is an election year, which is 2024. We have seen the market on a year-to-date basis continue to grow, and so I think so that's something which is a very new phenomena in the last let's say 15, 20 years, that in an election year market is growing. On a calendar year basis, from January till August, we are seeing roughly 15% growth year over year, which
Mm.
frankly, at least I would say I did not expect it to be. I had expected at best a 0 to 5% level in an election year, given the challenges of the code of conduct and model code of conduct and all of that. But we are seeing a continued development. I think the factor behind that, in my view, is that the budget and interim budget announcements is focused on infra. So I think that was very clear message that we want to. And then, of course, there was a very high expectation that the government will come back to power and all of that, which did happen, but though happened in a very different way than everybody
Different. Yes,
expected.
absolutely.
But clearly, the growth is still ahead of us. I think when we think, and I like to go back to what you mentioned exactly just before this question, is that the infrastructure is always lagging demand in this country, right? And that is the reality. Whether you take airports, seaports,
Correct. Yes.
waterworks, or road works or railways, we are still the population needs are not being met, and constantly we are looking at expansion and all of that. I think while the government executed major projects like the Bharatmala project is under execution, or prior to that GQ and all of that, before that we have never seen these long-term, infrastructure projects. I think we are still in the middle of becoming visionary in infrastructure development. We're still in the scale. We're still thinking kilometers per day, but we should be thinking, okay, what's the infrastructure view of the country? What's the strategy that is we have to make sure that we don't have bottlenecks coming in? We're still very much reacting to demand and not able to yet go ahead of demand and proactively plan the infrastructure. Though the thought process is there, the Viksit Bharat 2047 plan, which has been set by Prime Minister Modi and which is being discussed by the government quite actively with all industry stakeholders, is yet to take full form. I have attended some meetings where I have seen that there is a very good discussion, very good thought around it, and they are going in that direction, but it is yet to hit the ground. So I feel that visionary approach that will be required will happen, because now most of policymakers and government and political leadership is warmed up to the idea. They warmed up to thinking 25 years, 30 years ahead. Uh, I think we are in the space of going in that direction. I think one more
And
project I would like to bring up, Mega, there, which will be very critical. We talk about roads, highways, railways, and all of that, but one of the biggest challenges that India is faced with is water. Water excess and water scarcity both exist in this country in different parts of the world, different parts of the country at different points in time. And interlinking of rivers, which is a major mega, let's call it project idea that has been in the works for close to 15 years. I mean, this was conceptualized during Vajpayee's time, and then there is a Central Water Development Authority which is working on this, and I know that there are a lot of working meetings going on there. Only one project out of the multiple levels of project has got also announced and tendered, the Ken Betwa project in MP. But that interlinking of what rivers will be the project that will have to take off. And if that takes off, I think Indian CE industry will definitely see number one spot in this world. There is no question about it. But that scale of activity of earth moving and the amount of work that needs to be done to secure water deficient areas to be supplied with water from the excess areas. There are challenges around the state boundaries. There are challenges around, social aspects around it. All those things will come, but we need to get started with those. And I think as a country, we cannot afford to not do that. I think that will be the next big thing for giving a boost to our industry, both in terms of the volume, but also in terms of the scale of products that will actually grow. Suddenly demand for bigger machines will become bigger in construction, in the construction segment, where typically mid-sized machines are used. You will have to use larger size machines. You'll have to use specialized machines to do this very large scale earth moving in a given defined period of time. So yeah, one more point. Viksit Bharat 2047 is a 2047 dream. But to be Viksit in 2047, infrastructure will have to be ready 10 years before.
Correct.
So 2037, 2038, we will have to be ready with infrastructure, because otherwise the dividend will not come in the economy. And I mean, you take whether it is we are building roads, but the quality of roads. You're thinking about the mining. So we have to really think in 10 years ahead from an infra perspective. So for CE industry, it is very good times ahead. Definitely, that is why everybody in the world is today taking note of India. The brands that are playing in India are global, from Indian brands to European brands to American brands to Chinese to Korean to Japanese, you name it. Construction equipment players, there's nobody from anywhere in the world who's not present in India. So, when more should happen, and more should we will see ahead, I'm sure.
And so you mentioned that we will be needing more large-sized construction equipment as opposed to the mid-sized one, which is there. So amidst all this, what kind of opportunity does it provide for a company like yours?
No, of course, for Volvo Construction Equipment, we have been in India now 26 years. We started in 98, and so we are at 26 years completed and 27th year of business in India. For us, India is like a home market, and we have become, a brand that is fairly well recognized in the customers, among the customers who are buying the kind of products we manufacture. So for us, we have a very wide range of excavators. We have a very wide range of wheel loaders. We have a wide range of trucks and motor graders and all of that. And earth moving is our core competence. And in any infrastructure project, moving the earth is one of the critical pieces to starting the project. And I think we have huge opportunities coming from that, particularly when the scale of earth moving grows. The kind of products that are required have to be fuel efficient, highly productive, and we excel in that category. Our market shares in the larger product class, larger highly productive fuel efficient machines where it is required, Volvo is the number one choice for end customers. And I think we see that will be definitely a big thing that will happen for us. But what is important is that we are also going for the mid-range products very aggressively. We launched our newly developed India-made, India-specific EC210E excavator, which we launched in June this year, with the aim that we need to be also address India-specific requirements. We have actually developed a product which is more than 70% localized, with a lot of indigenization in all the major components in that product, and that is addressing, and that product has been launched, and we're seeing a very good traction on that product, and we'll expect to grow quite large. And I've quoted this. I've been quoted a few times in the media about it. We have said that we intend to double our market share, and we have.
Yes, I was about to ask you that question. Yes.
And this product is aimed at that. Of course, this is one of the products. There will be more products that will come, which will be coming next year in compaction range. For example, the stage 5 machines will be coming in. We will be bringing more variants of our 20-ton excavators, as well as other models that will be launched in the coming 2 to 5 year time frame, in which we will definitely see Volvo brand becoming more mass oriented, more closer to a large base of buyers, and not just for the extremely niche, productive applications. We'll also be going for the mid-range of applications that needs slightly simpler or slightly, but also very fuel efficient products. The latest machine that we launched has improves the fuel efficiency by 20% for a customer who's using a 20-ton excavator. That's the kind of value creation we will make for end customers, and hence we see this as a very big opportunity. In India, Volvo sees in India for capitalizing on the India opportunity, but at the same time, we will also use India as a base for growing our business in the world, because whatever we develop and produce for India can apply to many developing markets, and in some cases, even some developed markets. So that will be our strategy for utilizing the opportunity that our country offers.
Oh, I'll take this question forward and ask you. You yourself said that you're going to double the market share. What is the timeline for that? A, and the other thing, that the equipment that you are that you are building, you were saying that they can be used for other markets also. So are you looking at supplying those equipment to other markets, other continents? Which are the continents, the countries that you have shortlisted? So I have two sets of questions.
Yeah. So of course, I will not give you a time frame for the doubling of market share, because that will be revealing too much to our competition. But yes, we are aggressively positioned, and we are growing our capacity to. I mean, we have a sufficient capacity to develop and produce already, but we have to develop our supply chain to make sure that we can deliver to that volumes, and that's what is we are focused on. And I think you will see it in not so distant future, and I would only say leave it there. But at the same time, our focus first is on India, get India successful, and as the product becomes more successful and more accepted, as the global demand picks up, we will also be starting to export. We already export our compaction equipment from India, and also some amount of excavators out of India, not just to SAARC countries, but to Southeast Asia as well as Africa and Latin America. These are markets where we have been exporting, and we intend to follow the similar geographies for the future products, particularly where logistically India is very well placed, will be the places that we will be targeting. And but I would say that there is much more that India has to offer from in the construction equipment industry, given it a very good vendor base that is getting developed in India for construction equipment. We being the third largest market today, aiming to be number 2 in a fairly short time, and I think given the potential, it can also be number 1. There is a good movement of lot of global vendors to set up shop in India and use India as a base for producing for India requirement, but also for global, and that will actually help the export capability of all OEMs, and we will definitely be also one of them who will take benefit out of that.
Okay. Since you cannot share the timeline, because that you're saying would be revealing too much to your competition, but which are the other steps, which are the steps that you're taking to achieve that target, if you could tell us that?
So I think for any product, Megha, it's, of course, the product is very important, and how it's positioned and how it's actually accepted and, received by end customers. At the same time, what is very critical is how the brand is visible and made accessible to end customers, and how we are distributing it, making it closer and making it reach the end customers. So, of course, we have developed products. We'll be developing more new products, and also working on a supply base that will actually help us to being more well positioned from a pricing perspective in the market. But much more, you will see that we did this campaign called Karo Zyada Ki Ummeed. As a marketing campaign, the idea was to bring brand much closer to the user, average user of construction equipment in India. And today, Karo Zyada Ki Ummeed is as a word, as a tagline, is sticking very closely to the Volvo brand, and people are trying to can start to understand that, okay, what does it mean, So obviously, our aim with that campaign was that in India, we all subconsciously want our aim. We want more for everything, right? We want whether it's our regular shopping, or whether it is buying a car, or so obviously there is a lot of expectation. So this is what we are saying. We deliver more for what your value for money is, and expect more from us, whether it is in terms of what the product can do, whether it's in terms of the technology that you can bring in. So we have launched the most advanced hydraulic technology in this new product, but at an affordable price to the end customer. So we are saying that we will give you much more, and then C gets the benefit of the fuel efficiency. So That is the marketing angle around how brand will be positioned to end customers. Secondly, is the distribution space where we have our 20 dealers who cover the country. We are working towards further improving our dealer network and make sure that our coverage is better. Our branch network of the dealers is getting better, and you will see a lot of development in the distribution space so that today we can reach customers at roughly close to 300 locations. Our dealer people are serving end customers. We would like to also make that to grow substantially, maybe 30, 40, 50% as we move forward with this whole product launch and the go to market strategy. So distribution and marketing will see a lot of focus, and you will see Volvo brand, becoming much more easily accepted to all kinds of customers, all kinds of consumers, than just in the past that we were more focused towards the productive segments of the market.
And what would be the capex requirement for the company like, especially in the current financial year?
So currently, our capacities in our factory is sufficient to for the next 2 to 3 years. We have enough capacity to grow. So we're utilizing our plant only one shift today, and we can double the capacity with 2 shifts fairly easily. And that's one thing which means that we do not need an immediate injection of capex, but we have been doing incremental improvements in terms of setting up a wheel loader line. For example, we set up the wheel loader line this year beginning, and that is fully in action. But that was not I wouldn't say something dramatic to say how much amount of capex we needed to add here. But so in our plant today, we have compaction equipment, we have excavators, and we also make wheel loaders. And what we will do is we'll add more range to it, more models that will get added to the same lines, and then we will be able to easily double our capacities, without major investments to be done. But of course, we were looking forward to the government coming up with some major PLI or something like that could potentially change the way we do manufacturing. But we haven't seen on those lines. So we'll focus on for now in this manner, and we can last until 2027, 28 with this plant capacity that we have, and then we will of course be working on some future master plan that will be needed.
You mentioned about the PLI. What sort of PLI do you think should be offered by the government for the construction equipment sector, if at all they think of something on those lines?
No, we have submitted proposal from our industry to the government. Government has also been very much listening to the requirements. But I think it's also that the PLI as a concept today is still, in different industries have given very different results. So obviously we can understand the government's, thinking about how PLI should be viewed. But from our industry perspective, it was very simple logic, right? For construction equipment, one simple fact is that a construction equipment of piece of machinery, when it goes and gets deployed in the market, it generates about 3 to 5 jobs, every piece of equipment, because you need operators, you need technicians to maintain it. So it is actually generates a lot of informal employment in the infrastructure sector, and hence this industry that way drives employment, employment generation directly. That is one piece, which is definitely one of those things that the government sees. It is in the deployment. The other is, of course, in the production of equipment, the construction equipment industry being a low volume industry is highly dependent on MSMEs. So there's a huge network of MSMEs that get benefited from the fact that our industry is actually growing. And this is the second major reason why it will actually be very important to consider our industry for a program like PLI, and of course the parameters around program and how to implement it and all our detailed proposals that we have provided. And thirdly, our industry is also growing in exports. It'll be we have actually doubled exports in the last 2 years as an industry. Construction equipment industry exports have become double in the last 2 years. And with that kind of growth and traction taking place, it's absolutely the right kind of industry to be supported for anything that is linked to production-linked types of program where you want to go for employment generation and also to become more competitive in the world.
Correct. And with that, if I could ask you a generic question, in the sense that more like a concluding remark, what is the outlook for the construction equipment industry for the current financial year and also in the near future? Where do you see the what outlook is according to you is the outlook for the construction equipment
I think I should start by saying "Karo zyada ki umid," because
market?
that kind of sums it up in a way. But absolutely, you're right. This year, I have already mentioned from a fiscal year perspective, the which is April to now. Of course, this was the peak election period. Market is still growing at about 6 to 8%. But on a
Right.
full year basis, I expect it to be double digit between 10 to 15% growth rate is what we expect the industry to, because every sign is pointing in that direction. There is road projects to be executed, mining projects are picking up very fast. As soon as the rains are over, we expect the industry to shoot up quite strongly. That is one piece. The other is that when we look at the next few years, and if you look at the pipeline of projects and the things that are being discussed by the government, whether it is road projects, Mr. Gadkari has been very actively talking about what his plans are.
Yeah.
In the industry association meeting, annual session of ICMA, he mentioned that there will be roughly 5 lakh crore worth of projects announced, and awarded in this fiscal year. So the and then railways are already implementing a lot of projects. The next one, which we expect government to come up with much more clarity, would be the interlinking of rivers. With these three major tailwinds for our industry, we should see a very dramatic change, and it will not be very wrong to say. And it was actually somebody from the government who said that, why do you say you want to be number two in the world? Because ICMA had its vision plan 2030, where we said we like to be number two. It may not be wrong to say that within 2030 or within 2032 or 2035, India could be the number one construction equipment market in the world. So it has all the potential, it has all the capabilities, and the ecosystem is evolving very nicely to actually meet that requirement.
Right. Thank you so much for these concluding remarks, and thank you for talking to ETInfra. It's always a pleasure talking to you and getting an insight into the construction equipment world from you. Thank you, Mr. Krishnan.
Thanks, Megha. Always great to talk to you. Thanks.
Thank you.